World Wide Web. Welcome to Hangin' With. I'm GW Pomichter. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, go on down here and hit subscribe. If this is your first time, thanks for hanging with us. We really appreciate it. We also appreciate our partners over at Something Unique Magazine, Books, Chocolate, and Wine, the Florida Book News, Authors for Authors, and now our new friends at Wordfire Press. Thanks for sharing these videos all over the World Wide Web, everybody. We are here today hanging with Drake Vaughn, the author of When the Devil Climbs and several other and sundries. Welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging with us, Drake.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So you, I understand it, are a dark fantasy horror fiction writer, among other things. So let's start out with sort of when you started writing and how you got your start.
Cool, yeah. So I've been writing since I was a kid. I've been writing in school and after college. I was writing, but it wasn't until I focused on genre fiction that I really kind of found my legs, I would say. And so I've been putting out mostly horror, but some science fiction and fantasy as well.
Okay, okay. Now, I noticed that there's a slant, like you said, toward the horror and the dark fantasy kind of thing. What drew you to that genre in particular?
Oh, that's a good question. I've always loved horror. I mean, when I was a kid, Stephen King was just the best writer in the entire world. So I'd be remiss without saying that I'm one of his constant readers, and he really drew me into the genre.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. What now? You've got quite a collection of work. Anything that you would consider maybe your darkest or most fun story to write?
Sure. I mean, I think it's not the most fun, but the darkest one is definitely the new book, When the Devil Climbs.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that. What's the general? Give me the book blurb on When the Devil Climbs.
Sure. It's about four ex-cons who become trapped on a billboard after a horde of wild pigs attack them, and the pigs are infected with a mysterious virus.
Now, I just really quick, I want to know: is there a wild pig horde out there somewhere traveling around? Do they travel in hordes? I,
No, I think what did the term that I use? I forgot. It's a drift, actually.
a drift.
When they go off, yes, and that's the technical term. But yeah, there actually are wild pigs that are ravaging the southern U.S. Farmlands, and
Wow.
yeah, and that was actually one of the inspirations. I read a New Yorker article about that, and I thought, oh, this would be perfect.
So a drift of wild pigs is a thing.
Exactly.
It's a thing. Okay, so well, we will find out more about that when the devil climbs, I'm sure. And so, do you when you write your horror fantasies, and now you have to take on this drift of wild pigs? Do you like to focus on are they ensemble pieces? Do you like to build a really good hero? How do you like to put your characters together in books like that?
Sure. Well, the characters are quite different, but the main protagonist is an anti-hero, and he's an ex-con that was a drug addict, and he for kind of lost a decade of his life, due to his misbehavior, and now he's trying to reconnect with his son. And the day before he was supposed to leave, this is when the pigs attack.
This
So
is when he's supposed to leave. When he's supposed to, the pigs, because that always happens when you're on your way to making your life right. The pigs attack, and that pretty much does it in for there. Now you said you've been writing since you were a kid, and we got to see on your website at drakevaughn.com. You've got quite a collection building. What were some of your earliest and most daunting challenges you faced as a new creator?
That's a good question. I think the hardest one is finding contacts and an audience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was obviously also just getting better at writing and learning to edit. I think that's the biggest challenge is taking what you have. It might be a huge 100,000 word book and cutting it down to something readable, at 60 to 80.
Okay. So really, you find yourself going in and editing as much for space as you do for content and grammar and things like that.
Yeah, I oftentimes will try to cut out about a third of the original stuff, and it becomes a lot easier actually as the more I do it. And I actually have this program that reads aloud to me, and so I can hear the words back through a robotic voice, and you can kind of get a sense of the rhythm of
Uh-huh.
the book that way.
No,
And
it's
you,
interesting that you say that. I write very much for reading out loud. I'm constantly reading my work back out so I can hear it, as opposed to just seeing the words. I like the rhythm and timbre of the written word, and so do you find that that helps you? Do you like to find a specific rhythm? How would you describe? I told somebody once I write at a waltz. I want a 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. I want you to feel it until I give you something big. Until I tell you bam. So if you had to describe your writing uh, tempo, what would you say you write at?
well, I always try to start like a hit of meth, just to punch them right in the gut right off the beginning. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it depends on the scenes and how you want to structure them. So I found that when I'm doing a more descriptive scene, in where there's not a lot of action, it'll be longer and more even paced. And then if I'm doing something like where pigs are attacking, it's much more choppy and the sentences are short, and so the pace changes depending on how the mood I want to convey
Yeah.
goes.
So what we have here is dark fantasy horror hard rock fiction. So that is fantastic. That's amazing. So you've got some work out there now, and audiences are starting to reach out and find your books. What do you think some of the most rewarding parts of being a creator and being a published author and having your work out there have been for you?
Oh, by far the best thing is to get audience reaction and the personalized emails and communications through social media has been the best. Sometimes things are very touchy about, you know, um, I guess that was the wrong way to put that. But oftentimes people are touched by the work, and I think that that's the most rewarding.
Yeah, well, especially with such what people might call it more of a darker genre.
Mhm.
You really do have messages in horror and in dark fantasy and those types of genres, um, but it is hard for readers sometimes to get past the overtones and find what the writer is talking about inside that fiction. So it's always great, of course, when it happens for you and somebody says, "Hey, I got it."
That's absolutely true. It's much more than just pigs attacking, and
Yeah.
it's
Although I
particularly.
will admit, pigs attacking pretty cool.
Oh, exactly. You have to have the
Pretty
fun.
cool. Whenever you can have if you're out there, young writers, and you're writing fantasies, whenever you can have pigs attack, uh, you've done well. So fantastic, man. So let me tell you, we talked a little bit. You said some of your early influence was Stephen King. Do you have any other, other writers or creators that have inspired you? Maybe some artwork you've seen that inspires you. Just people who make you want to sit down and go, "Wow, I want to write about that."
Sure, sure. I've been on a Jack Ketchum kick recently, and
Wow.
his stuff is just amazing. It's really dark, and it's the Girl Next Door, Red. Both of those are just unbelievably
Amazing, both amazing stories, really.
yeah. And
So
mhm.
that's fantastic, man. Now we have got some young aspiring creators out there. They got their paintbrushes in their hands. They're ready, but they haven't drawn the first stroke yet. They've got their keyboards out. They haven't written the first sentence yet, and they're getting started. What kind of advice would you give these young creators as they're coming out and getting ready to kind of enter the world that you and I are both living in now? What would you tell them?
Sure, I would just say practice. I think that's the biggest thing to get better at it, and I think for me the biggest struggle was learning to rewrite and cutting a whole bunch of stuff until you feel like it's correct.
Have you ever
And
have you ever had to cut something either for for space or content or something that when you wrote it you just really loved it, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, but it just doesn't work, for that. Uh,
Absolutely. I mean, that is part of the game. You just gotta cut things. There's times where I spent an hour looking up some sort of fact, and then I know, and a week later I go, well, that was lost hour because I got to get rid of this. It's not working in the story.
yeah, so you just sit down and you write like your most you're a poet for like 5 minutes, and then you're like, yeah, no, that's not gonna work. It's crazy. So, do you have any upcoming projects? We know When the Devil Climbs is the most recent project out right now. Do you have any upcoming projects you're working on? Anything we can look forward to? A little spoiler alert out there for everybody.
Sure, I'm working on what's called the V Town. It's an expansion of a short that I did, and I call it Gothic Gangster, and it's a flipping the world of vampires on its head. So I'm
Very, very nice. I'm working on a project myself, a vampire monster project myself with a writing partner, and rather than flipping the current vampire mythos on its head, we went all the way back and reinvented the origin story.
not.
Because I figured, you know what, it's time. We've been doing the same stuff for so long now, and it's canon for the universe. So why not mess with it? Because it's fun, right? Um, so and that's what now? What's the title again? What are we working on?
V Town.
V Town,
Yeah,
and so it's got a gothic gangster vampire feel.
exactly.
All right, so we talked to a bunch of guys at Magic City Comic Con about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, and two of the guys that we talked to were just the mashup kings. They throw everything and the kitchen sink into the story, and then they change the kitchen sink to like a steampunk kitchen sink or something like that. So you're on your way. It looks like you've got gangsters and vampires and a gothic environment. So welcome to the mashup world, and good luck with that. We're looking forward to that. In the meantime, if you want to get your Drake Vaughn fix while you're waiting for that, make sure you get When the Devil Climbs. We are about set to wrap it up here, folks. It's been a great time. Thanks for hanging with us, Drake, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Before we wrap up, we'd like to send out our special thanks one more time to Something Unique Magazine, Books, Chocolate, and Wine, the Florida Book News, Authors for Authors, and Wordfire. That list is getting so long. I love it. It's great. And those are the folks that are sharing these videos on their blogs and their magazine sites and their websites, in their email lists. And they're just kind of helping us get these artists out to the World Wide Web. So if you get a chance, Vaughn, Drake, go ahead and stop by and see some of those partners. You can probably catch this video there. So anyway, if you're out there on the World Wide Web, please go ahead down to our description. You're going to find links to, first of all, drakevaughn.com, which is where you can find a lot of information about Drake and his work that's out there. We're also going to make sure you have his Facebook and his Twitter account and anything else. You can cyber stalk Drake until you get the book that you want. The perfect story. Just tell him what you want. So in the meantime, while you're down there in the description, check out our show store. There's a link down there. Help us to support these authors and artists and creators on the World Wide Web by picking up a little bit of swag. Get a t-shirt, get a ball cap, get a coffee mug. You can even get a teddy bear if you want to. Not a dark horror fantasy hard rock teddy bear, but a Hangin' With teddy bear. So at any rate, for the dark horror fantasy fiction hard rock tempo, you can find that at drakevaughn.com. Remember, Hangin' With is going to Pensacon in Pensacola, Florida on February 19th. We're going to be there till the 21st. If you're out in that area, come on by and see who we're hanging with. I'm GW Pomichter. We've been hanging with Drake Vaughn, the author of When the Devil Climbs. Find him at drakevaughn.com. And remember, subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next.